In January, we got an email from Rinpoche. He'd arrived in Bhutan and was expecting us. My first thought was to write back, "Fat chance." My second thought was, if he wasn't giving up on me, was it fair for me to give up on him?
It's still that trust thing. It's almost like teachers can only transmit to us when we're open. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a classic, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to be.
It's almost like you can only really receive someone's love when you let it in. It's true, isn't it? You have to keep pursuing it because he's not the one that needs the teachings, it's you.
A million roads, a million fears, a million suns, 10 million years of uncertainty. I could speak a million lies, a million songs, a million rights, a million wrongs in this balance of time. But if there was a single truth, a single light, a single thought, a singular touch of grace, then following the single point, the single flame, the single haunted memory of your face.
They will take us on an easterly course, and at the moment we're heading towards Aligarh for a final...
Our journey to Bhutan was quite complicated in the beginning. Equipment got lost, which is always a nightmare for a crew, and they had been up for 3 nights trying to locate their luggage, and the crew had to bribe the Indian authorities at the airport.
Rinpoche asked me to come a couple of weeks earlier to Kathmandu and possibly go with him to India. I had a grand total of, I think, 36 hours with him. And then I was stranded in Kathmandu. He just disappeared. He went to India by himself. He didn't want me to come.
Heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I see when we're out together, dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, heaven, I'm in heaven.
The proper gap in time and space, which seemingly had been so difficult to find, opened. The obstacles dissolved like ghostly illusions, and we were in Bhutan.
Look at the mountains. Oh my gosh. Look at the mountains.
Mountains.
It's very different from London.
Yeah, there's no mountains in London.
Well, you're used to it in Canada.
But you have Harrods. We don't.
That's true, we have Harrods. And now you've completely destroyed my love of Bhutan because you just reminded me of Harrods. Actually, if you look right at the top of that mountain, you can see a bottle of Chanel perfume with a mannequin next to it.
I see.
Most Bhutanese didn't have a lot of material things, but they seemed to have something a lot more valuable. It amazed me. Padmasambhava walked these hills in the 8th century, and with every step he planted the seeds of Vajrayana Buddhism. Bhutan's culture is inseparable from Buddhism, and after the Chinese invaded Tibet, Bhutan became the only Vajrayana kingdom.
What do you think? Good to see you. How are you? Good, good. How are you? Sit down. Here, I have to act like God. Here, you have to act as if you are nothing.
I'm sure it's very difficult for both of us to act that way.
What do you think?
All the cynical voices in my head went silent.
What? Isn't that funny?
Shows how lazy I am because I don't even have a job.
I heard you want to bless the army here too.
Just bless 7 army camps.
Do you think Osama bin Laden blesses his army as well?
Yeah.
Sort of similar, isn't it? You
Yeah.
two roles, very similar.
At least the people here are happy.
I really hope he isn't a mirror of me in 10 years' time.
What?
Because I just really hope he isn't. That I don't become like that in 10 years' time.
Qu'est-ce qu'on you donne? Comment? Sonam children's. It's about 10 George Bush in Bhutan because I named them as George Bush. What do you think? That's my job here, giving names. Census department comes here. This is it. This is the Bajrayana country now. You are in the Bajrayana country. What do you think? Everything is Bajrayana. Min. Sonam Dörjes. Zam. Kiringa Ming Dani Dibim. Huh? George Bush and Dani Dibim.
He does this on purpose. He puts people together that don't get along on purpose. He says, we want to create sparks. We want to put steel and flint together so that we have sparks.
My perspective of Luke is that he shocks me. The first day, he said some things to Rinpoche that really shocked me, and Rinpoche saw and he was laughing his head off.
Look, so beautiful.
Oh no, it is absolutely fabulous.
These are my set. Bravo.
Oh, momos. Aha, my favourite. Thank you, Mummy. Cutting chess. Food's really good here, Rinpoche.
So you like Bhutanese man, Bhutanese food? Might as well marry here, settle.
Oh, no, it's dangerous. I shouldn't have started any of this. Because if you ask him to do something, you get Godzilla. Do you know Godzilla? Big monster, huge, terrifying situation.
Here we have to behave and have our little pinkies up.
This is so surreal, Rinpoche. In the middle of nowhere, there's this really lovely little picnic. It's really, this is so lovely.
We followed Rinpoche to a valley where he kept a small house. It sat at the feet of one of the most revered Buddhist sites in the world, a mountain cave famously known as Toksang, Tiger's Nest, where Padmasambhava did retreats.
If you want to go to that place, I mean, you can actually literally see, once you're in the main monastery, you can literally see the other one. 3 minutes walk. But you have to gamble with your life. Because they put like beam. And then right on that, they just put a plank. Not even nailed. If you fall, you are inside those pine trees right underneath. 2,000 feet.
What's the longest retreat you've done up there?
Yeah. Well, once I stayed there almost 9 to 10 months. Studying.
So, of course, we all became obsessed with making the climb to Toksang.
For me, Rinpoche is like Mount Everest. He's so elegant, and I have this piggish way of eating. I mean, food is my problem, you know. And then I watch Rinpoche eat. You know, like we were at this weird place. We stopped in the middle of nowhere to have this meal with Rinpoche the other day, with the other chief of police. And he had every dish displayed. And he just kind of picked a little bit at what he wanted. But me and Luke took everything, chocolate eclairs, croissants, rice, everything. And Rinpoche said, you don't have to eat it all. And actually, he's a very good teacher in that way, that I've never seen him have what he doesn't need. And he never says what doesn't need to be said, you know.
I was born eastmost Bhutan, really next to the border. Few years ago, after 34 years, I went to see my home where I was born. And I've seen my home, trees growing inside, everything, just nothing, there's nothing.
So who's this, Rinpoche?
My mother, does she look like me?
Eyes. Yeah, I can see
The
some
nose.
nose and the mouth.
She looks much better.
Were you very close? Were you close to your mother, Rinpoche?
Oh, very much.
Do you think you would like to have a family one day, Rinpoche? Or?
If I meet a right person, what do you think? Which is
You can get
Damn.
some to babysit Rinpoche.
which is the sort of soul suffering of the whole human race, isn't it? The right one.
Any husband material here?
No, none whatsoever.
You're so picky. You know, that's your problem.
What?
That's why you're still
I'm
single.
picky, and you're not picky.
No. Oh, yeah. You know. Very good. He's a little yogi. Well, it comes with extra spit now. All free. I guess that's what the kids do on a Sunday afternoon, you know, to go to the market and play some thigh bone.
I don't really know the boundaries here. Because I don't know the culture. I don't know what's completely outrageous. It's much more thin ice for me here.
Nice song.
I spent the first several days in Bhutan trying to convince Rinpoche to let me film him at the local cinema. He pointedly ignored my request. Finally, it dawned on me, in Bhutan, a reincarnate saint does not go to the movies. In fact, Rinpoche was pretty low-key about his location scouting and casting because he had a few other obligations as well.
According to Buddhism, a student has to be like a patient, and the teacher, like myself, should be like a doctor. Patient must reveal everything openly, without any fear, without any inhibition. But here in Bhutan, sometimes the gap between the patient and the doctor is so high that the ordinary citizens can't even look at him, let alone ask questions.
What are you devoted to? Maybe you've got a problem here, Luke, because your devotion clearly doesn't...
I think this conversation is so boring.
Right?
Who cares?
Why though? Why is it boring?
It's just sort of repeating, things you read in a book.
So what do you really think?
About what?
Well, what do you really think of Rinpoche's capacity as a teacher to help you? Just you, not students, not us, not Alex. What is your view that what Rinpoche understands about you as Luke?
Well, I'm here. I must, have some sort of faith, but I don't know.
From day one, I just trusted Rinpoche, which he would probably say is probably a big trap. And most people would say I'm very naive, but the minute I met him, I just trusted him totally.
Can I ask you, how is your faith and your trust in Rinpoche different from the students of Osama bin Laden's faith in him?
Well,
They have complete faith in him. They're ready to die for him. They have so much devotion. So what's the difference?
Osman bin Laden and
What's the
movements
difference?
like that
How do you
rely
determine?
on keeping their people ignorant.
But how do you
That's
determine the difference?
Very different. Rinpoche's whole point is to completely remove our ignorance.
Osama bin Laden's point is to get people into heaven.
Luke, why do you do Buddhist practice at all?
What makes you think I do?
Well, I'm kind of... Okay, why do you waste your time hanging out in Bhutan? I mean, I've seen you with a mala. I mean,
Just checking out the babes.
checking out the babes. Well, you haven't scored yet, have you?
No, I've been trying, but what was we just saying? My belly is getting in the way.
I think, Luke, I just think you're a complete secret. I just think you're a complete disguise for yourself, and really you've got a million times more devotion and faith than me and everyone else put together, and you just hide it. You're a yogi, Luke.
There's no way of
Admit it.
knowing. There's no way of knowing.
What about the fact there seems to be a point where a student has to stand up to the teacher or get away from the teacher?
But that is the path, you see. You are not supposed to, but we know you will do it, but you are told when you do it, you watch your mind. Whether you have any sense of devotion or not, this is a stupa built for His Majesty's father, King. And then...
I think devotion is not on the level of liking, disliking. Does he like me? Do I like him? That may be an entryway, that may be a gateway to devotion. But devotion ultimately doesn't have anything to do with that. You can very well hate your teacher and have devotion.
This king, he was one of the greatest king. His son is Dujum Rinpoche, one of the greatest Nyingma master of the last century. He was a great poet, almost 24 volumes writings.
And is your grandfather on your father's side?
Yes, he's my grandfather on my father's side. One of my main master. I must say, compared to many younger lamas, how they get trained these days, mine must be quite tough. I slept in a room upstairs, and I was never allowed to come downstairs apart from going to washroom. I had only 2 toys for almost 9 years. Paper butterfly and tin-made small car. If I did something good, the teachers would say, of course, you are supposedly incarnate Lama. You should do better than that. And if I don't do good, they would say, what's wrong with you? You are supposed to be an incarnation of a great master. My daily schedule is very tight. 3 in the morning, I would have to start memorizing things. And breakfast will be quite quick. And immediately I start reading the text. Somehow we used to eat lunch quite early, like around 10, and then start writing calligraphy. And then we start doing the afternoon prayers. That's so long. After dinner, there's another evening prayer, and around 8 o'clock, the teachers would ask me to sleep. That's how the Tibetans train. But it was also necessary in my case. I was very wild. I cannot be tamed easily. Everything became a toy for me. His Holiness Ngui Rinpoche's way of training me was, instead of scolding, he would tell me who reported to him and what they said. No scoldings or anything like that. But now I realize this trust that he put all that time is actually like a biggest weight on my shoulder. Teaching Buddhism, I find it very difficult here in Bhutan. Let's say you have no choice but to be in this 6th realm. Where would you choose?
In the human.
Right, that's right. You're good. First of all, they're very shy. And the fact that I'm supposedly a Rinpoche, respected by everyone, that doesn't help because that's creating a big gap. This pig, this represents ignorance. There is always a fundamental ignorance, always, ever present sort of, whatever we do. Tibetans, they even have a saying like, if a snow line comes down to the ground too much, then the snow line will be mistaken as a dog. But also, lion's roar is totally wasted if there is nobody hearing. The very reason why you roar is so that someone would get intimidated, get inspired, sort of have some ideas. If you are totally isolated, what's the point?
How will we be free?
How will we be free? Okay. Yeah. That's a difficult question. Well, we have to kill this pig first. It's true. This symbolic pig, not the real pig. No. So we have to meditate, we have to be kind, we have to be compassionate, we have to be sympathetic to others, all kinds of things. We have to practice Dharma.
Bhutan was indeed a different world. Today, Rinpoche was performing a ceremony to restore harmony between the cops and any criminals they'd been forced to arrest. This unlikely event had been requested by the chief of police.
And then after that, we were invited to the chief of police's house for dinner.
I mean, now, okay, after all these years,
They have this very specialty drink, which is 3 pounds of butter in a saucepan with alcohol mixed in. You heat it up and then you plop in an egg, and that's the drink. And Rinpoche was very entertaining because I think he got a bit whizzy on the booze.
the concepts like human rights, beautiful concepts like human rights, Amnesty International, they become the worst political tool. At the end of the day, they somehow become a protector of the culprits. Many times. This is how our world works, isn't it? Like, I don't know whether O.J. Simpson actually killed his wife or not, but some people think he did. And the American law protected him. So the world is so... I love this world. What a wonderful world. See, this is as if I've just come from somewhere. I'm going crazy, you know, looking for caste, high and low. Wow, he's really good. Okay. Okay.
Sure, Jun, yeah, Jun. Say Jun. Ah, Jun. Jun.
For record, first confirmed caste.
Thank you.
I think you should be okay.
As a small girl, I wanted to act in Hindi movie and dance, but unfortunately, that was like it was just a dream. So now I think my dream through Rinpoche will come true.
Let's go there. Coffee? What kind of coffee is that?
We were still lusting after that trip to Taksang.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Rinpoche invited us to his house. Lost in my pushy filmmaker's state of mind, I never realized until much later that his invitation was more precious.
This is the only 2 boxes that Chenzi Chocolate managed to escape with.
Really? Wow. Really?
Those were his, Rinpoche?
Yes. Chenzi Chocolate's boxes. That's my bathhouse. Wow. This is one of my scenes. That's going to be really cold.
Should we get Luke to go in it?
He did.
It's one insulated.
Are you going to shoot in this one, in your own?
No. In the wood with a cloth hanging.
Right.
And the steam coming. And then sometimes we see Dawa's body, you know. What do you think?
Sounds sexy.
Well, all the image I have intact is the story. God, It's weak. There's something. The story is weak.
2 days before our visas expired, Rinpoche announced we had permission to go to Taksang.
I've been on a horse for years. These ponies are hardcore. They're right on the edge. This way. This way. This way.
Are we there yet?
The essence of going on this pilgrimage is to remind ourselves that such beings exist. Not as a hero, but as an example. One of the greatest things that has been said in this world was said there. Know the suffering. Abandon the cause of suffering. Nostalgia can open a door to many things.
This is the highest I've ever been.
I may be numberless, I may be innocent, I may know many things, I may be ignorant, or I could ride with kings and conquer many lands, or win this world of cards and let it slip my hands. I could be cannon food, destroyed 1,000 times, reborn as fortune's child to judge another's crimes, or wear this pilgrim's cloak, or be a common thief. I've kept this single faith, I have but one belief. I still
While we lingered at Taksang, Rinpoche went into a closed retreat. He would not emerge for another 3 months. Rinpoche had left us a parting gift, a trip to Kishu Monastery, where his own teacher had done many retreats.
It's a very, very amazing place. It's awesome. It's a very amazing place. I said amazing twice now. Wow.
I felt such a longing for whatever was in this place. Rinpoche had opened a door for me, and it led to the softness of my own heart. If I could find the courage to walk through. I realized he had let me make this film to learn to trust him and to trust myself.
The whole reason you go to a teacher is ironically so that one will not want. You don't want to leave the guru as an external savior.
you want to realize your mind, nature of your mind is the Guru. Guru is only a bridge. So ultimately, wanting something from an external source is something that we have to eliminate.
A thousand times the mysteries unfold themselves like galaxies in my head. On and on the mysteries unwind themselves, eternity still unsaid.
We left Bhutan having completely forgotten Rinpoche's warnings about the trip home being difficult.
That's it, Louise. Are you sad?
I'm devastated and gutted.
Our flight to Canada would take 72 hours, and when we got there, a giant snowstorm appeared over Halifax, so our plane diverted back to Toronto, where we waited through yet another night for the morning flight home.
I'll translate that for you. How wonderful it is that Siddhartha came to this earth. How wonderful it is that a simple man, Siddhartha, become enlightened. How wonderful it is that this enlightened being left us the path that led him to the enlightenment. Lastly, how wonderful it is that even he did not stay on as a mortal being. That's it.
Ježek su solo goro bemazi.